Hey guys, thanks for watching part one. We're back now with part two of the Eride Pro SS. Before we get started though, I did want to let you know we did have to make some changes. Number one, we added this ODI front downhill plate. And number two, when the bike comes shipped from the factory, this light is actually upside down. So it's about right here. So there's barely any space even for the stock plate. So we just had to go ahead, switch it around, just take that bolt out, switch the light upside down. Now there's plenty of clearance. Ryan wanted to get into some things about the bike too as well.
Okay, so much like a Suron, this thing actually does have a USB port, except this one's different. It actually has a USB Type-C as well. So there's a USB and a USB Type-C. And another thing to note is if this little tab is under the battery cover, you cannot get the tab up. So if you do want to use this tab, you have to open the compartment, put the tab open, close it, and then put it over like that so you can reach it.
Yep. Also, one more thing, at night there's a nice blue LED, and this whole white circle actually glows up as well, so that's really nice at night.
Another thing to note is the 3 buttons on the screen. If you hold this one, it'll bring you to the menu like that, and you can use the buttons to scroll down, change the brightness, whatever. Another thing
you can also change the gear ratio as well.
Yeah, the gear ratio.
So we can just go briefly through the menu here. So you have my vehicle, brightness, time, date, language. You can adjust the wheel size, so if you want to get some 17-inch Supermotos later, or if you have the Pro S that comes with 17-inch wheels. Oh, sorry, timed out. And then at the end here, just like the Sting R, you can even adjust the gear ratio. SW updated, I'm not sure what that means. Probably just the hardware update number. So, yep.
One more thing is the pegs. These pegs are so much better compared to like the XXX pegs. They're way thicker, longer. Now let's go over XXX pegs. See how thin they are? Yeah, they don't really hold too much. And then these ones are really thick.
Yeah, I may add too. It does come with a peg brace stock, and it actually seems like it's one piece. I don't know if that's better or worse, but it may be better because it's one solid piece as compared to the Talaria. They have little nuts on each end you have to adjust and tighten it. So maybe this one piece is better. And the bike also does come with some riser bar stock, which is, feels real nice for off-roading, standing up on the bike, wheeling, things like that. And another thing we wanted to do just in this video real quick is how tall, just a size comparison. So here we have a XXX. Honestly, we put this right up next to the Sting R, and it's even taller than the Sting R. Maybe by a few centimeters, but it is a pretty tall bike.
That much see difference.
Yep. All right, guys. So here we got the bikes back to back. As you can see, here's the Eride. There's the Sting R. So maybe we can get a shot like this. You can see clearly on the Eride Pro how much higher the seat comes, and also the riser bars, But I know that Talaria did do a redesigned suspension linkage on the R compared to the MX-3 to purposely make it lower. So, we're not very tall, so we do like the Sting R ride more, but this Eride Pro is a bigger bike for sure. Now we're gonna get into the drag races. We're gonna do a few quick pulls down the street here, maybe one from a dig.
One from turbo, one from sport.
Yeah, one turbo, one sport, and then maybe do a roll or two from like 10 miles per hour. Because honestly, this bike below 25, you can't even keep the front wheel down. It'll just power wheelie, so you got to be careful on that one. Before we start riding, we wanted to go over one more thing. So if you see, obviously, the Eride has a turbo button. When you press the turbo button, it stays on for only about 10 seconds. So that's when you get maximum power. So you can see turbo.
12 kilowatts.
12 kilowatts right there. So that's for 10 seconds. And after about 10 seconds, it'll turn off and go back into sport mode. There you go, sport mode. And now we timed it, but we're not 100% sure. But there is a cooldown to go back into turbo mode. So you can't just keep spamming turbo mode, obviously. Once you go turbo mode for 10 seconds, then you have to let the bike cool down or whatever for 40 seconds. So after about 40 seconds, then you can re-engage the turbo mode. All right, guys, we're gonna do some drag races here. I'm about 220 pounds. Ryan's maybe about 150. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, he has a weight advantage. So we couldn't find another rider that's exactly our weights, but you know, we'll just try our best here. We're gonna line it up way at the end of the street here so you guys can get a nice finish line view. All right, guys, so that was race 1. As you saw, it wasn't even close. We did a 10-mile-per-hour roll at the end of the street there. I don't know how far that is, maybe like a quarter of a mile, probably less than that. But yeah, we did a 10-mile-per-hour roll. This thing actually put like 2 buses on it, and that was even just in regular sport mode. So now we're gonna go back, we're gonna go put it on turbo mode, and we're gonna see what happens. Also, same 10-mile-per-hour roll. All right, guys, so that was race 2, same thing. We just have to wait for some cars to clear, but 10-mile-per-hour roll, that was turbo mode. I will say on the butt dyno, it did feel a bit quicker. I'd say maybe 10-15% more power. But yeah, we were gonna race the XXX, but honestly, the Sting R and the XXX are like, with me on the Sting R and Ryan on the XXX, the XXX does pull, you know, mid-end, but we did find out the Sting R does have a few mile-per-hour top end.
Baby, baby, baby.
So just a quick update. We just took this bike for some jumping, some light jumps. This is more of an in-depth review now of the forks because now we have some seat time on it and some jumping time. So even though these forks do look pretty great, they are really thick and you know, they are pretty well built. I have to say the dampening is nowhere near where I was confident to jump it. So for instance, like the Sting R, when you were able to jump it, it even just turned up maybe halfway, it's able to soak the jump up. You know, it's very well built fork, has a lot of PSI, it's 150 PSI in the Talara fork. This though, no matter what I did, I messed with the settings, I messed with the rebound, compression, everything. It still felt like the fork, and this shock tried to bounce me off the bike. Even my brother here, you know, he's hitting really big jumps before, and he was even scared to jump this thing on a slightly bigger jump than he did in the previous video. So if you are going to upgrade this thing, number one for sure are the tires. These just had no traction off-road. I was slipping everywhere, and they're too skinny to be able to land confidently. whenever I'd land, it would actually get a little bit sideways. And number two, if you are planning to off-road this thing, go ahead and get yourself a good suspension setup, maybe the Shock and Fork by EXT, maybe Olin, something like that. But this suspension, it's good enough as it is. If you're gonna do street riding, maybe some light off-roading, but if you're planning to hit any sort of big jumps, I'd recommend just ditching the suspension.
Hey guys, so we just got back from an approximately 25-mile ride. There are a few small things I want to point out, because I did hit like some baby jumps, nothing crazy, but starters, these tires are god awful. Like, they're okay on off-road, but on street, the brake locks up, right? When I'm trying to pull a stoppie, it locks up. But instead of gripping to the ground like a normal tire should on the XXX or Stain R, it keeps sliding, which is not good. That means it has like no traction on street. The only way to pull a stop on this thing is when you go on grass, because it hooks into the dirt. Okay.
I may add though, even still off-road, they're just, they're too thin, and the knobs are, the knobs are a little stiff. So even off-road, there's not much grip. I'm sure there's plenty of other videos on YouTube that also state that. So, if you're gonna get one of these, first upgrades we recommend is the tires. They don't even grip on road. It almost slid out on me a few times, and they don't even grip off roads. Next thing I think Ryan wanted to talk about was the throttle tune.
Throttle tune. This throttle tune is almost an exact replica of the Sur-On throttle tune. Unlike the Sting R and XXX, where it has like a really stiff throttle, this throttle is light and easy. It's exactly like a Sur-On. The tune is like a Sur-On. Instead of like more of an initial kick, it keeps building. Like, it has a lot of mid-range and it keeps building.
Yeah. So if I can build on that to like the Talarias, when you go full throttle right away, it gives all the torque right at that moment, and then it sort of dies off, it tapers off. But this bike is pretty much the opposite. If you give it full throttle right away, obviously it's just so powerful, it'll loop, but it builds power. It builds power the faster you go. Brakes are good. We were able to pull a stoppie on the front, bone stock. Didn't have to have any upgraded pads or anything like that. Rear brake, obviously you can just lock it up one finger. It says Eride Pro on there. And overall, it's the bike is just really great quality, and they did put a lot of detail into it. Like, for instance, little things like these little wire holders. The Talari and Sur-On don't even have that. They tell you exactly what torque spec to put for the screws right on the part. It says here, just little details. This bike's really well thought out. It doesn't seem like something that they just had to throw together, to make a competitor, but they really did think about everything. Thanks for watching, guys.
Ooh, baby, baby.